After the break, missing murder documents found in a locked cabinet at the Met. A big update in the Daniel Morgan case. Tonight, the missing murder documents embarrassing the Met. The force has been accused of institutional corruption for its failed investigations into the axe murder of Daniel Morgan. Now it's revealed potentially vital documents were abandoned in a locked cabinet. Also on the programme, killed over a fake Gucci bag. The teenagers who murdered an Afghan refugee are jailed for life.
I just want to say that I don't know what my child has done to those people. They have taken my child away from me.
Plus, squaring up over ULEZ, another rival hoping to topple Sadiq Khan in the race to become London's next mayor. And
Miss Bethany Mead for services to Association Football.
Royal recognition. London's sporting elites are recognised by the Prince and the Palace. Good evening. When a report into the police's failure to correctly investigate the murder of Daniel Morgan was released, the force and some of its officers were accused of corruption after potentially vital evidence was irretrievably lost. Tonight, there has been a major update in the case of the private investigator who was killed with an axe in Sydenham in 1987. The Assistant Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, Barbara Gray, has been forced to apologise to Mr Morgan's family after it emerged 95 pages of documents were discovered locked inside a cabinet in New Scotland Yard. The case is one of Britain's most investigated killings, but now the force is being asked more tough questions about how this could have happened. Daniel Henry reports.
Daniel Morgan's murder is unsolved. Today, his brother told me the Metropolitan Police are unforgiven because of the way they handled his brother's case.
The Metropolitan Police have apologised for this. Is that an apology that you can realistically accept?
It's words, isn't it? You know, I mean, after what has been going on in this case, you know, I mean, no, I mean, so much has gone back, far worse than this in the case. That means nothing to me.
Daniel Morgan's case has become a byword for police corruption. He was a private investigator who was found with an axe in his head outside this pub in Sydenham. After 3 decades of investigating and apologising, the Met had to say sorry again. This time because documents that should have been made available to the family about Daniel's murder were found sitting in a locked cabinet at New Scotland Yard.
February, March, April, 3 months they've had these documents, and we haven't heard about it. We only hear about it when a journalist tells me about it. You know, that seems to me a bit smelly, should we say? You know? And I'm thinking, yeah, would they ever? My thought is, would they ever have told us about this?
Mark Rowley has been in post since September last year. He would have been aware of this in January, and he would have made the decision or supported the decision not to let the family know. And
I think I can probably say this, that it's wrecked my mental health over decades, you know. It's done serious damage to my mental health, you know. And I'm thinking, I'm 74 years old now. I've had 36 years of this. I've got this hope inside me of living the rest of my life without having to deal with any more of this.
Do you ever think that we'll get to the bottom of what happened to your brother?
No.
The Metropolitan Police have described this episode as unacceptable and deeply regrettable. Words that are another reminder of what the Morgan family have lived through. Daniel Henry, ITV News.
The publisher of the Mirror newspaper has apologised to Prince Harry for an instance of unlawful information gathering. The Prince is involved in a High Court fight with Mirror Group newspapers. To date, they admitted a private investigator was instructed to get information about his activities at China White nightclub near Oxford Circus. The publisher contests other claims being brought by 4 individuals. The court also heard claims there was systemic use of private investigators by Mirror Group journalists, authorised by senior editors, including Piers Morgan. This is what he had to say when ITV News caught up with him earlier.
I'm not going to take lectures on privacy invasion from Prince Harry, somebody who spent the last 3 years ruthlessly and cynically invading the royal family's privacy.
Well, Piers Morgan has always denied involvement in phone hacking. There is much more on this story on the ITV News at 6:30. But next, the mother of a murdered 16-year-old boy who came to London with his family to flee the war in Afghanistan has paid an emotional tribute to her son as his killers were sentenced to life in prison. Rishmeet Singh was chased down a road in Southall in November 2021 over a fake Gucci bag before he was stabbed 15 times by 2 teenagers. Today, Rishmeet's mum says she hopes his killers stay behind bars forever. Kafo Patel reports.
With the help of an interpreter, she spoke of the grief and pain she feels from losing her son.
They have taken my child away from me. He was a lovable boy, and I don't know what he has done wrong to anyone, that's why they have taken him away from me and they have spoiled my life.
Rishmeet Singh was 14 when his father was killed by the Taliban. 2 years later, he too was murdered, only his killers were teenagers with knives. In November 2021, 2 members of the Hayes Town gang left their flats with the intention to kill. Ilyas Suleiman and Vanushan Balkrishnan changed into disguises, put their phone on airplane mode and set out to kill a rival gang member. They got the wrong person, and that night, Rishmeet was killed. Both teens were found guilty of murder in March this year, and today in court, they were punished for their crime.
The sentences I pass upon you are as follows. Vanushan Balakrishnan for the murder, detention at His Majesty's pleasure with a minimum term of 24 years. For the Section 18, detention at His Majesty's pleasure with a minimum term of 4 years. That's 2/3 of the notional determinate term.
It was very much a tale of 2 families in court today. On one hand, you had the defendant's family who were hanging their head while both boys were sentenced to 21 and 24 years respectively. And of course, there was Rishmeet's mother who was in tears throughout their entire sentencing. Both families have lost a son, but for one mother, the loss is more permanent.
But I don't want these people to come out and I want them to stay inside as long as or any long sentence for them.
Today, the capital was reminded of the consequences of knife crime. 2 lives lost to prison, albeit still alive. Their victim, however, a more tragic and fatal fate. Kafo Patel, ITV News, Old Bailey.
If you ride an electric bike around London's West End, you could soon face a fine for not parking it in one of the area's new docks. Westminster Council is looking at installing up to 250 docks for e-bikes after complaints the bikes are often left blocking pavements. They say the way they are currently discarded in the streets causes an imminent risk to public safety. The protest group Just Stop Oil took to London streets again earlier today, this time stopping traffic near Moorgate tube station at rush hour. They marched through the city from Mansion House but were moved to the pavements after police threatened them with arrest. And there will be 39 new electric vehicle charging bays across 24 locations in South London by the end of 2024. The chargers will be installed on routes used by commercial vehicles like taxis and freight in the hope of meeting London's 2030 net zero target. Now, it's an issue that puts thousands of Londoners at risk every single day. Ever since the fire at Grenfell, we've heard how many unsafe homes covered in flammable cladding remain untreated across the capital. Tonight, ITV News can reveal that figure hasn't changed much since that fatal night almost 6 years ago. Today, 1,164 homes remain in danger. Max Martel has been speaking to some residents who still have nowhere to turn.
So tell me about the sign. Why did you put it up?
A sign of the building safety crisis. These flats in Camden were meant to be dream homes, but they've become dangerous, living nightmares.
Why did you put up the sign?
Because we've run out of options. We bought these homes about 4 years ago. They're catastrophically damaged, everything from inadequate foundations to the brick facade crumbling away from the building. Well, you'll see that
These flats were on the market for almost £1 million in 2019, but the building is already structurally unsound with fire safety defects.
It moves under not that much force.
Paid for with life savings, these residents' homes are now worth nothing.
I bought this flat as a result of the divorce settlement, which was to provide for myself and my daughter, and now all the money got wiped out.
The sign calls out the Conservative government for failing them since the Grenfell fire uncovered fire safety defects in buildings. But the Labour MP, who happens to be Sir Keir Starmer, is also criticised.
We've spent the last 4 years of our lives in a legal battle with the developer and the warranty provider. It's cost us about £325,000 between three of us to date, and there's a risk that the developer won't even have the funds to pay, so there isn't a single option left available to us other than to protest and become activists and hope that there's a change in the law, I guess.
Next month will be the anniversary of the Grenfell fire, but 6 years after 72 people died, there are still 1,100 unsafe buildings in London alone.
Over in Isleworth, West London, James Neal bought a shared ownership flat just 2 months before the Grenfell fire. But the building has since been found to have flammable cladding. He's now stuck in a home he can't sell.
When I bought this flat, it was just a 2-bed. Since then, I've met my partner and she has 2 children. And since then, we've also had twin girls of our own. So there's 6 of us in total, which obviously don't fit in a 2-bed flat. And we've been hoping to sell this and move into our own place and put a roof over our kids' heads. Because of the cladding issue and the fail, you can't sell these properties. They won't sell at auction. Buyers just aren't interested. So we're left with a property with my equity in it. I can't get out. I can't get my investment back. I can't sell it even at a loss if I wanted to.
James wants the government to change its right to buy rules from Homes England to make it easier for his family to move.
Allow us to sublet if you have a help to buy with cladding so we can cover our costs. We shouldn't have to explain ourselves.
In a statement, Homes England told us our focus continues to be on helping customers find a solution as quickly as possible. However, we recognise that this has been difficult for a number of customers.
Fire brigade, local council ombudsman.
Back in Camden, Keir Starmer told us he is aware of the issue at these flats and says he is offering residents appropriate support. But this is a clear sign. Many homes are still not safe 6 years after Grenfell. Rags Martel, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme, we'll have the weather forecast plus.
Ronnie Mitchell, that's my sister Roxy.
Don't tell me there's more here.
You're damn right there is.
EastEnders actress Samantha Womack opens up about her personal struggles away from the cameras. And what Prince William had to say when he met 2 footballing legends. But first, the Conservatives have begun the contest to choose a candidate to challenge Sadiq Khan in next year's London mayoral election. Assembly member Susan Hall is the latest to throw her hat in the ring. Meanwhile, a prominent anti-ULEZ campaigner has been chosen to represent the former Brexit party, now known as Reform UK. Our political correspondent Simon Harris has the latest.
Sadiq Khan is hoping for a hat-trick. If he wins next year's election, he'll be the first person in history to be elected mayor 3 times. But he doesn't yet know who his Tory challenger will be.
I think he's beatable. I think I'm the one that could beat him, which is why I've put my name into the hat.
Susan Hall is the latest member of the London Assembly to join the contest to be Conservative candidate. Fellow Assembly members Andrew Boff and Nick Rogers have already said they want the gig. So has former Downing Street advisor Samuel Kasumu. London Minister Paul Scully is also believed to be considering it.
Obviously, it's Cox for London.
Howard Cox, a veteran campaigner against fuel duty, also wants to be mayor. He's standing for Reform UK, which used to be the Brexit party.
I can't sit by any longer and watch this man wreck our capital.
What about air quality?
Well, air quality, there's no problems with air quality. Even the Transport for London's own report has shown that quite categorically that the expansion of the ULEZ zone out to the M25 to Greater London will make no difference.
The plan to enlarge the ultra-low emission zone to all of Greater London divides opinion. Cars which fail to meet modern emissions standards face a daily £12.50 fee. Unless the courts decide otherwise, the ULEZ will be extended as planned on August the 29th. By the time Londoners go to the polls next May, they'll have had 8 months to get used to it. And Labour believes the Conservatives' poor results in last week's council elections in places like Windsor prove campaigning on an anti-ULEZ ticket isn't a vote winner.
If you look at all the home counties, all the areas they were targeting, do you know what happened? The Tories lost 99 seats, the bulk of them coming to us in the Labour Party. So it didn't work.
And although most of the aspiring Tory candidates have promised to scrap the ULEZ extension, Susan Hall concedes it's not the #1 election issue.
We've got to have some really good common sense policies, and we've got to get Khan out, we've got to sort the police out, we've got to have the homes built that Londoners need, and that isn't great big tower blocks. We need family homes built, but beyond everything, my passion is policing.
The Tories will choose their candidate to take on Sadiq Khan in July. Simon Harris, ITV News.
A blind campaigner from Southend says she will lose her independence when her guide dog retires next month, as she could have to wait 18 months to get another one. 83-year-old Jill Allen King says she relies on her dog Jagger to carry out day-to-day tasks, but due to a large backlog, she's now been forced to take her case to politicians. Callum Fairhurst reports.
Go to the left. You like going? All right, hang on.
Jill and Jagger have been side by side in Southend for 9 years.
Jagger. Who's a clever Jagger?
She's had a guide dog for more than 5 decades, but when Jagger retires because of his age in June, due to shortages, Jill could have to wait 18 months to get a replacement.
When you've been independent for so long and then you haven't got a replacement dog, this is what is so bad. It's going to be very difficult. I'm not looking forward to it at all.
Since losing her sight from glaucoma on her wedding day, Jill has spent her life campaigning for other blind people. She's responsible for bringing tactile paving to the UK's streets, but without a guide dog, Jill feels like she'll lose her eyes once again.
He's my best friend, and he's just the comfort that I need, and gives me that independence that I need to go out and about with. And I don't know what it's going to be like.
Guide dogs need training, but that was paused for 5 months during lockdown. And according to the Guide Dog charity, that's one of the reasons there's a backlog.
So we have over 1,000 people waiting for a guide dog in the United Kingdom at the moment. COVID has actually dealt us a really difficult hand over the last few months and few years. Dogs that are actually qualifying as partners now were actually raised over 2 years ago, and it's hard to imagine what times were like then. So we're continuing to breed more dogs, and we're training more dogs going forward.
This week, Jill has met with ministers to try and fix the problem. She was joined by her MP, Anna Firth.
This is something we've all got to crack. We all want to get these waiting lists down. Guide dogs have made a lot of progress. They've got 600 dogs now in the country. There's also 30 to 40 return dogs, but there's 1,000 people waiting. So what we're doing is exploring every possible avenue to close that gap and to bridge that time so that there isn't this cliff edge where people are just left stranded.
Jill has ideas to fix the issue. Allowing dogs to work longer if they're happy and healthy is one, and she's dedicated to making sure no one has to wait for a guide dog in the future. Callum Fairhurst, ITV News.
Next tonight, former EastEnders actor Samantha Womack was starring in the West End when she discovered she had breast cancer. She went through surgery and chemotherapy treatments, which she described as brutal, but they were effective. She got the all clear late last year and was able to return to the stage. And I'm so pleased to say that Samantha is with me now. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. All clear is a kind of strange term.
I know.
Us in the cancer community, I suppose we understand that for now it's great, but you live with the kind of the what-if syndrome. So,
yeah, hangs over you, doesn't it?
Absolutely, but it's been an amazing journey,
Yeah.
and it's actually opened a lot of doors and a lot of interesting things for me to talk about, which is why I'm here.
The last time we spoke, you were in your dressing room for The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I think maybe you were in previews. So I guess at that point you knew, but obviously you weren't saying anything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible pressure you had on you while starring in the West End.
I think it was probably halfway through, yes, that's right, the technical rehearsals.
Yeah.
And so, like anyone, it's never a good place to find out. But actually, it's been an incredible journey, and it's linked me to some very influential and important people who are doing great things for outreach programmes and charities all around the UK. So I'm really passionate about trying to help as much as I can.
Go on, tell us about that then. That's about getting recognition, isn't it, for local charities?
Yes, so I'm working in conjunction with the lottery, and the lottery is actually responsible for giving up to £30 million per week to various different outreach channels and communities. And so they have an awards ceremony now. You can put your vote in on the 16th of May and find a kind of list of people that are doing the most incredible work. Up to 30% of people are now using outreach programmes and charities. 7% of those are saying heavily so, much more since the pandemic, much more since the cost of living crisis has gone up. And so I feel very passionately about kind of supporting these. And I voted for one fantastic charity called Yes to Life, who I'm a patron of, who are just helping people with diagnosis of cancer, treatments, and not just prescriptive medicine, but also holistic therapies and the psychological effects of being given a diagnosis.
Let me just show the award, because I know you're keen to show it off. It's very heavy. So as well as the money, they can get this award.
Yes.
It's really important, isn't it, that we have these charities in our communities that we can turn to in hard times?
I think that's right. I think probably I remember in, pre-80s, there were lots of community centres and kind of centres where people could meet and reach out to people who maybe needed that. But now that's less apparent. And so these are just wonderful. I mean, the list of last year's nominees have been incredible. There's a couple who are working for the mental health of farmers, because obviously the Brexit situation has placed them in precarious situations. There's residents of tower blocks encouraged to grow their own food. And obviously Yes to Life for me was just kind of a vital platform with information.
You've been very open about the struggles in your life with your dad, with mental health struggles as well. It's obviously you're having a lovely life, but things have been thrown at you, haven't they? It's fair to say that, isn't it?
I think that's the same for everyone. I mean, the whole country at the moment seems to be kind of engulfed in post-pandemic fever and the cost of living. And so, actually, I've been very privileged to be surrounded by lots of people. I've been working. I think there are quite a lot of people that are struggling at the moment, and there is this strange feeling that post-pandemic we should suddenly be, kind of cured and excited about the future. But it's almost, it's more confusing in a way, I think, for people post-pandemic, because it's like you've seen something that you can't unsee.
Yeah. Should we turn to something much more cheery happening this weekend that you know all about? In 1991, you flew the flag, didn't you, for Britain in Eurovision? I think we can have a look at it here. We won't listen to it. We'll just see the picture, though. I remember this. This was fantastic. I mean, it's turned into such a huge spectacle, hasn't it? What's going to be going through the contestants' minds at the weekend?
It's hard to tell. I mean, everyone's different. I met Greece's entry as kind of 16-year-old lad who's very, very together and very controlled, and I envy that. And some people, obviously, it's quite a lot of panic. But I performed the night before last night in Liverpool for one of the opening parties on stage, and it was just phenomenal. The community of Euro fans is huge. obviously doing it for Ukraine feels very much like it's the right time. It's a kind of anti-war movement, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it felt like a great time to do it. So I was very, very proud.
Having seen the spectacle up in Liverpool, do you think it is bigger, though, than it was back in the early 90s?
It's kind of different. I feel like it's taken a kind of turn. People seem to be a kind of affection for it now, less tongue-in-cheek and more a kind of genuine passion.
Yeah.
I think people are seeking a sense of community at the moment, and post-Brexit, it's quite nice to be back in with some of the countries that we've removed ourselves from.
Yeah, we all want to belong, don't we?
We definitely
Whichever
do.
way that happens.
Yeah.
I hope you're having a wonderful Eurovision party at the weekend.
Thank
Samantha,
you.
it's lovely to see you in here, just smiling and looking so happy. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Right, let's have a look at the weather now. Here's Philippa Drew with the forecast.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger and energy.
Hello there. Well, it has been a very changeable picture out there today. Sunny spells, yes, but also plenty of showers and more of the same to come through the next couple of days with further heavy downpours on the cards. But it does look as though we'll see something altogether drier developing as we head into the weekend. So low pressure very much in charge of our weather today. It sticks with us through tomorrow and into Friday for a time, and then high pressure starts to build in from the south and west, and that should bring something a lot quieter all round come Saturday and Sunday. But a thunderstorm warning still in force for the next couple of hours. Some heavy downpours continuing across the region. As the night wears on, though, the worst of the showers will tend to ease and move away. And for a lot of us, by the end of the night, it'll be much drier and perhaps a bit clearer too. Where we have the clearest skies, perhaps little patchy mist developing. And for all of us, it will be a relatively mild night. So tomorrow morning, a bit more cloud around than we had this morning. 1 or 2 showers from the word go. But as the day wears on, the sunshine will come out, but so too we'll see more showers bubbling up. And again, if you catch one, it could well be heavy, potentially thundery, and perhaps with a little hail thrown in as well. But in between the showers, in the sunshine, not feeling too bad at all. Highs tomorrow, 18 or 19 degrees quite widely. So a showery end to the day tomorrow. Overnight into Friday, those showers tending to peter out. But you'll notice as we head into Friday morning, a little weather front starts to move into eastern parts. That could provide a focus for further showers to round off the working week. But as we saw, as we head into Saturday and later on Sunday, we'll see high pressure building. So signs of something a little bit quieter on the cards, at least for a time.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Finally, they are fan favourites for their efforts on the pitch, and today recognition came with a royal seal of approval. Arsenal's Beth Mead and former Watford footballer Luther Blissett were honoured with MBE and OBE titles by Prince William, fresh from coronation celebrations at the weekend, of course. Natalia Horquera has the story.
They played a huge part in football's history books. And today, 2 legends were honoured for their extraordinary contributions to the sport.
Miss Bethany Mead for services to Association Football.
If winning the Euros last summer wasn't enough, Arsenal striker Beth Mead topped off her spate of recent awards by adding MBE to her title, something she never imagined would happen when she first began playing football at the age of 6.
I don't think that was on the bucket list at the time, but yeah, honestly, I'm incredibly proud to be a part of it. I think obviously Lucy's here today, but there's a lot more girls that I think obviously would deserve and love to be here, but we obviously are flying the flag for women's football, and yeah, huge honour to be here and meet obviously the Prince of Wales again in a little bit of a different setting to last time.
Also receiving his award today alongside Mead was a Watford legend.
Mr. Luther Blissett for services to Association Football and charity.
Blissett was the first black footballer to score a hat-trick for England, and today Prince William presented him with an OBE for his contribution to football and his tireless charity work.
Because you do it, and you don't go about these things and think, oh, I want to do it because I'm going to get this reward or whatever. You do it because you feel it's the right thing to do. And again, that's something, when I go back, Graham Taylor, who's also, rest his soul, had an OB as well. It was a case of you do it for other people, and good things come from that. And for me, this is an amazing thing to receive, and something that myself and other players now starting to form a players club. We're looking to expand that because we're working now with veterans, working with people with cognitive issues, working with people with memory loss, and all sort of areas that we can work in. We sort of do that now to help people out because we're in a position where we are able to do so, and it's really nice to do.
Luther also shared the warm words he exchanged with Prince William.
We spoke about him playing football the other day, 11-a-side, and asked me if I had to play. I said no, it hurts too much now. And he responded by saying, that he's still in a little bit of pain from the last time he played as well.
Today's awards are a sign of how far football, in particular women's football, has come. And depending on the outcome of this summer's Women's World Cup, there might be a few more honours handed out. Natalia Jorquera, ITV News.
Yeah. Right, that is it from us. The ITV Evening News is next with Lucrezia. But from all of us on the London team, thank you for watching and bye-bye.